Hello, I'm Neil, and the reason I'm making this video is I need to unfortunately express how disappointed and to a certain degree betrayed I feel by Willow Park, the housing association who own the flat that I've been living in for the last 23 years. But before I get into that, I'd just like to start by saying I want to say a big thank you to Gordon Livingstone at Willow Park, and also one of the young man who helped me yesterday when my gate to my garden had been maliciously locked by the neighbours downstairs. And he was very helpful and removed it, and it was Gordon that raised the order for the lock to be removed. Okay, about a year ago, the family downstairs, who are absolutely lovely, moved out and did a swap with the new family who lived downstairs, which is a woman who I was saying at late 50s or early 60s, and two sons in their 30s or late 30s. Three very large people. The sons are about 20 stone, and I say that not to insult them, but because it's a very small flat for two people, let alone three. And to make matters worse, they've brought a fully grown German Shepherd with them, Zara, who's a lovely dog, but who unfortunately isn't given any exercise whatsoever or any affection. She's not allowed to go out for a walk. She's forced to do her toilet in this tiny little backyard, where sometimes she's having to find space among the previous messes that she's made. She's got to do a number 2 and a number 1 and find whatever exercise that she possibly can in about 30 square feet. Never gets to see or meet any other dogs, so it's just absolutely heartbreaking, despite the fact that the nearest field where she could easily get some exercise and certainly at the minimum do her toilet, let me show you, it's less than 10 yards away. Here's the problem. Because the dog is so pent up and has got no way to relieve her stress, whenever anyone goes to their front door downstairs, day or night, this is, let me give you an example of what I have to listen to. Now, I don't think it's reasonable that I should have to listen to that, and what makes things even worse is that when I try to put on some music or a computer game or a bit of YouTube to try and kind of drown out, to me at least, and I've only got headphones and this kind of little bass cushion thing, I haven't got a big stereo anyway. But whenever I make any noise at all, she's shouting and banging and screaming from downstairs, even though her dog sometimes erupts in hysterical barking at 2, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, you might think, well, you know, surely you've spoken to Willow Park, and unfortunately I have, and the lady, the community safety manager, as her title is, appears to have totally taken her side downstairs. In fact, her downstairs, the lady, neighbour downstairs, has told people, I've recorded her telling people that, you know, the woman at Willow Park is totally on her side and that she thinks I'm an arsehole and that she's going to get me kicked out and all this kind of stuff. That's what she's been telling people, that the woman from Willow Park, the community services, community safety manager, is completely biased in her favour. And when I went to see this lady at Willow Park, everything that she said seemed to confirm that. I played her the clip that I just played you of her shouting and screaming and the dog barking, and she said, oh well, I've spoken to her, and she admits that she's got a very loud voice, as though it's some kind of medical condition that I should feel sorry for. A few weeks ago, just to give you some idea of what I've got to put up with, my little cat Bluey, who scratched the white strips on the blue wallpaper, almost got hit by a taxi. The taxis go mad on this road for some reason, trying to get to the field over the road that you've just seen to do his toilet. So I tried to I did cut a little bit of soil next to my hedge, nowhere near her garden downstairs, just underneath my own hedge and put a little bit of fresh cat litter on it so that he would recognise it as something that he once used when he was a kitten, and basically start using this little tiny little mini toilet. Anyway, I was minding my own business the next day. I walked out of my front door and was unlucky enough to walk right into the path of this woman downstairs, and here's what happened.
Oh, why did I say get that cat litter fucking moved? It's got mice in the house. Get the fucking cat litter moved for a fucking pound. Get that cat litter moved, your phone.
So she's shouting and screaming. There were neighbours with little kids just walking around at the time. She's effing and blinding completely unnecessarily, telling me that she's going to effing drown me in my own cat litter if I don't get it moved. Absolutely no reason that she couldn't have just talked to me if she had a genuine issue. She's talking about hygiene, saying it's attracting mice into my house. But this is a woman that forces her own dog to use her backyard as a toilet. And days where this dog hasn't been, or the backyard hasn't been cleaned up for a while, you can literally smell it from the upstairs window. You compare that with a tiny little bit of natural cat litter outdoors on soil. The lady at Willow Park, in response to what I just showed you of her shouting and screaming about the cat litter, wrote to me saying, well, she was angry in the heat of the moment, implying that there was some kind of build-up to it. But there wasn't. You could see that. It was totally unprovoked. She supposedly is acting as someone who is supposed to sort out conflicts between people and to preserve safety, community safety manager, and yet she appears, to be acting as her personal spokeswoman for this lady downstairs. Now, the lady downstairs is a heavy drinker. That is part of it. She hits the vodka really hard when she gets paid, and one of her sons is a cocaine addict who gets very aggressive and who's repeatedly said, if I come downstairs I'm dead. Here's one example of that.
Will you? And you're dead when you come out. Will you?
Now recently, and for some reason things have been getting worse, and it appears to me and to other people who've seen the evidence and who've seen the emails and the letters that I've had from the community safety manager, that the woman downstairs, rightly or wrongly, feels that she's been given the green light to act even worse against me. Which is why, since all the dealings that I've had with Willow Park, she's got nastier and nastier and nastier. As I mentioned at the beginning, she just completely maliciously put a padlock on my gate downstairs, which could potentially cause a major fire hazard. Or not a fire hazard, but if there was a fire downstairs, it would make it difficult for the fire brigade to help her own family and the family next door. But she's locking my gate basically as a territorial thing. She's basically trying to bully me out of here. And about a week and a half ago, she was even talking about killing my cat and a little stray cat, Susie, who I think is deaf or almost deaf, who happened to just be resting on her grass downstairs. And she was saying, next time I see that cat on my effing lawn, I'm going to effing kill it. She's just a little old cat who kind of makes her home in a different garden every few months, and it isn't going to do anyone any harm.
Is she beautiful girl? Yes. Having some chicken, sweetheart?
So, this is why I feel as though I've been forced to post this video on YouTube. I hate grassing people up. The idea of putting someone or damaging someone's reputation or making them look foolish or unprofessional in their work environment. And I've tried everything that I possibly can to avoid getting to this point. But because these threats are now involving my animals, which I take much more seriously and much more gravely than any threats to me, I've had my life. If it ends, it ends, But these cats, they're innocent. They've done nothing wrong. And now that it's got to the point where my cats are being threatened, I feel that I just have to post this so that if anything happens, people will know that I predicted it, and people will also know that I tried my hardest to get help from Willow Park, and unfortunately the lady involved appeared to be biased on her side downstairs. I'm sorry if this video has gone on a little longer than it should have done. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching.